Doing?
Good.
See your smiling faces. Just want to start by letting everybody know that we have begun a new tradition at Indiana. We're really excited about honoring George Taliaferro in a very specific way with our team. So we're going to award a George Taliaferro award each year. It may be cumulative based on the age of the recipient to wear number 44 in honor of George Taliaferro. And Aaron Casey is going to be our first recipient of that award. So he's going to change from 46 to 44. And just a tremendous way for us to honor a tremendous man that we have a statue of. He sits in front of our stadium in the north end zone, and our players get a chance to walk past that statue every time they enter our facility. And so I want to be able to pick a young man that embodies his trailblazing spirit, his toughness, his athleticism, his character, his leadership, and I think Aaron Casey, who we all call Ace, we think he's a great representative in this first inaugural recipient of the George Taliaferro Award. And like you said, he has a couple years of eligibility, so he'll wear that for the next 2 years. And then when he graduates, then we'll award it to the next player. And George played on both sides of the football, so we feel like it's a universal award that can go to any of our guys that represent his spirit and his character, and I'm really excited about that. So at this time, we'll just take questions.
Hey, Coach, I've interviewed all 3 of your players here. Great guys. Just congratulations, 3 guys you brought. Tell me something special. You chose these 3 guys to bring them up here for this. I mean, was there some special quality that they stood out over everybody else, or just, I mean, they all talked about the team and they all talked about you, so a testament to you, but let's talk about these 3 guys.
Yeah, they're 3 special young men, but I will say this, of all the years I've been here, we could have brought a whole bunch more. You know, it was a tough decision to make. We had a lot of guys who I feel like have been with us for several years and really truly embody the spirit of our program and the culture that we built, and they bought into that. And I'll just start with Cam. You know, he's going to be a 3-time captain. That's pretty special. I mean, that does not happen very often at any place. And so, you know, he came, as we've said in the past, he was recruited as a wide receiver, and then he played the Husky position for a year, and then we moved him to our stinger, which is our weak side linebacker spot. And so obviously a tremendous athlete, but it's who he is as a man that sticks out, and that's why I'm just thrilled that they're here today, so you get a chance to see him and talk to him and hear from him, and he's very and he's just so thoughtful in what he says. He's a very sharp young man in the way he processes everything, the way he cares about his teammates, the way he cares about our program. His work ethic is phenomenal. He comes from a great family. He's been raised right. He's just, man, he's everything you want in a player and as a leader, which is why he's been voted captain 3 different times. So I think that sticks out to me for sure. And then honestly, when last season ended the way that it did, and you know, he was one of the first guys coming to me and saying, "Coach, this is, you know, we're gonna create change. You know, we're gonna get back to, we're gonna finish this off the way it's supposed to finish off." So Taiwan, you know, I don't know, man, what a special guy. Tremendous combination of confidence and swagger and humility. You know, just love, once again, his work ethic. Now, that's a guy that really hurt us last year by not happening. You know, he got injured in the Western Kentucky game and was never the same since. Tried to play a few times. We tried to get him back. That was a frustrating one because it just kept, you know, you thought you might get him, but then you didn't, and then you might, and it just never happened. So we eventually had to shut it all down. But that void was big for us, you know, not just in playmaking, but just the locker room and on the field presence. And so I think it's pretty obvious, you know, why he's here. You know, one of our best players, our most decorated player. You know, being a first-team All-American is hard to earn, and also first-team All-Big Ten on his resume. And so, but he also is a great spokesperson for who we are. He understands Indiana football. He understands the culture. He picked us for a reason. He came here with a chip on his shoulder, something to prove. He's not the biggest guy on the field. Never has been, never will be. But his heart is massive, and his talent is impressive, and he's just a leader, and our guys respect him. And so that's why he's here. And then you got A.J. Barner, who I really think a lot of. There's a toughness to him. There's obviously the size and the athleticism. It's impressive. He's played behind, Peyton Hendershot in the last couple of years, and so you haven't had a chance for him to be featured as much. But at the same time, I think he's got a tremendous skill set. He's a high school linebacker. Didn't play tight end in high school. Came to our camp as a defensive end and a linebacker, and we always kind of viewed him as a potential tight end even back then. And so I feel like that his leadership is what separated himself. He's on leadership council. I watch all the workouts. I see our guys interact with one another, and I notice who has the influence and who do the guys listen to. And so he's one of those guys, and he gives us a physical and a verbal presence on offense that you have to have. So like I said, those were just three of many that we could have picked to come today, and I think they all have unique qualities, and they're all excellent students. All of them have excelled in the classroom, so they fully embody the service, the academic focus, and the football prowess that you need to be able to come to something special like this.
Thanks, Coach.
With David Ellis going, who are the candidates to be returners for you guys?
Yeah, so I would say, even though DJ was injured in that return game in the past, that's what he does really well, and he'll be in the mix for that for sure. I think even a guy like Brian Fitzgerald is a guy that has done that quite a bit. He's really good at it. Jalen Lucas is the guy that's just joined us in January. Tremendous change of direction and speed for us. He'll be a guy back there as well. I think Sean Shivers as well, Josh Henderson as well. David Holloman will be a guy back there. So we have multiple guys we're going to give opportunities for in spring ball. James Mons has been the return guy, punt returner, kick returner in high school. The punt returner, that's the different one. That's the one that not everybody can do. It's a lot easier to catch a kickoff than it is to catch a punt. And so I feel like that probably there's a smaller pool for the punt return list. Quite a much bigger pool for the kickoff return list, but I knew that even though Mark Cooper's the guy that's been a return guy in high school. So we've got some talented freshmen that are going to get a shot this fall camp, and then some older guys that we get in rotation too. So, but David, to me, that's one of those. My heart breaks for him. He never really got a chance to become on the field when he knew he could be. I knew he could be, but he and I are close, and we've grown even closer throughout this whole process. And so he's going to be, a tremendous, young man and grow into a man, and to be able to fulfill himself academically. So, he definitely needs a void in that area, even though he didn't have a chance to do a lot on the field like we hoped he would.
Tom, we were looking at.
How important is it overall in this new NIL era for programs to have a robust NIL program behind them?
It's imperative. I don't think you have a choice, and so, and it doesn't really matter what you think about it, how much bought in you are to it or not. It's not going away. It's only going to continue to grow, and so the programs and the alumni bases and the fundraising that can figure it out and get people involved is going to be the ones that thrive, and so it's here to stay. I think everybody agrees with that. Who knows what the future holds with it, but I know we have to embrace it, like our infrastructure, but we got to continue to grow the participation within it, and that's just being honest and being real, and that's part of it, and everybody in America is going to have to have that approach, and I think you have to just really have good leadership, strong leadership, which we do, and now we got to get the people convinced that have the resources to buy into it and get involved.
Tom, when we talked 3 years ago here at this event about the Big Ten East being such a tough neighborhood and trying to get, break through to get into that top group. 2019, you finished fourth. 2020, you finished second. Then last year happened. What did you learn about how hard it is to get there, and then even more so how hard it is to stay there as you head into this year?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's a great, progression visually. I think we sometimes lose sight of that, and I think it's a great reminder that when you play at a highly competitive level, you're in a fragile existence. You have the chance to be, in a certain spot, and then how quickly it can change, right? And so I think that when you go through it, it makes you appreciate, what you build to, and how hard it is to stay there, without question. But it's still big picture view of everything. I think you can't get short-sighted, and yeah, last year was really, really hard. And it's something I never want to go through again, but at the same time, it makes you appreciate and recognize how hard it is to be at a certain level within a program and to be able to have success. And then when you have success, to be able to not just sustain it, but continue to grow that, without letting complacency set in or whatever happens with teams. You often talk about, why have teams in the NFL, it's hard to stay. Well, the structure is built into for you not to stay there, obviously, but also there's a motivation piece to that. So when you start having success and you have a whole offseason, people telling you how great you are and how great you're going to be, then how does that affect you when you got a whole bunch of people telling you what you're not going to do, and that kind of chip that creates in you? It's a powerful thing, So you have to battle that, and so you have to learn, I think. And so when you're building a program, you have to learn and how you handle success, how you handle the setbacks, And so we've obviously had a chance to experience both. And so I don't know if I got all the answers for that, but I do know that this year feels a whole lot different, and the guys that are here today, I mean, they lived it. They all experienced it. They were all here in 19 and 20, and now they're here in 21. Now they're ready for 22, especially Taiwan and Cam. And so to me, it's about having those hungry guys, that understand that, man, it's a fine line, and we're going to battle and battle and battle to get where we want to be. So I see a team right now that's hungry, and a team that's got a chip on their shoulder and something to prove.
As a coach, do you feel more natural and in your wheelhouse preparing a team with lower expectations like this year, or higher expectations? Or
Oh, I mean, there's no question. I mean, when you're told you can't do this and you can't do that, that's a powerful thing. I think we all would agree with that. Now, I'd much rather you be in a situation where you have a different expectation maybe, but from an internal motivation perspective, yes. That's a different field for sure, and there's a powerful part in proving somebody wrong. We all know that, right? It's human nature. But I also want our guys to understand that to build a program that's expected to do a certain thing in a certain year, I want us to be able to handle that and do well, in my opinion.
You built this program on defense when you first came here, and then you have to take on the other responsibilities as a coach. Did last year, is that what played the part in you going back to calling the defense? Is that just part of it? What ultimately led to that decision?
Yeah, I think last year had a big role in this. I mean, to me, I didn't like how it felt, and the buck stops with me. So to me, it was like that's my area of expertise per se, when you have to pick one side of the ball or the other, and that's where I cut my teeth as a coach, and that's how I got this job many years ago, was because of what we did on the defensive side of the ball and in other places and here. And so when that wasn't right, I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that's right, and to me, I went out and created a system where I hired Chad Will to be the defensive coordinator, and I want to call the defense. And so I do like that structure, because the last time I called it, I didn't really have that. Kane was with us in year 2 of me calling it. It didn't feel the way it does right now. So I feel good about the head coaching piece and how we have that in place, and the things we have going there, and for me to be able to have him handle those things on a daily basis, the meetings, and even today, so the defensive staff's meeting right now and going over things and evaluating things and getting ready for fall camp, and so that can happen when I'm not in the room, and so, but I just, to me, I just guess you call it your gut feeling that you needed to do this, and also I'm excited because I missed it. I really do. I enjoy the preparation process for that, and we've had to kind of work through how that's going to look on game week and everything. But I feel good about where we are with that. We just got to go out and make it happen.
How do you approach opening the year with a conference game, specifically also a team that's conference opponents that's going to be playing on week 0 and have a game?
Sure. Yeah, this is number 4. I've been doing this for 6 years now, and this is the 4th time we've opened with a Big Ten opponent. I mentioned that from the podium, and that's just the truth. And so I guess we're used to it, It's become the norm for us at Indiana. I think that, trying to decide, with them playing, week 0 and we're not. So there's pros and cons to both. We're obviously going to see them play, and how much they have to show will be based on how that game goes. But at the same time, it'll be our first game. So you kind of got the negatives and positives. You think about that we all understand football. You don't have preseason games in college. So this will be our first time playing, and all you have is spring football since the last season. All you have is your fall practice. Well, those are all against each other. So you don't get a chance to go against another team. So it's going to happen on September 2nd. So to me, but there's benefits to that. I mean, there's going to see things they're not going to know for sure, but that's part of it. First game always creates that. No matter we're playing against a new offensive coordinator. The guy that's there now was at UTSA a year ago, so they're going to have changes as well, and we'll see some of that. Yes, week 0. Not sure we'll see. I'm sure we won't see all of it, So, but that's the excitement that week 1 brings, And so I don't shy away from us having Big Ten openers. I think they're going to continue. It's good for TV ratings, and we got a Big Ten game on Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday, right, to open the season.
You're not changing your approach in fall camp. The 2 times you haven't played a Big Ten opener?
No, but it definitely creates a different urgency. I mean, you just talk to our players. I mean, I promise you, there's a different feel, when you're open against a conference opponent, and it doesn't diminish anybody else we would open the season with in the future, but the bottom line is that the stakes are high, and I love the urgency that situation creates.
Tom, what was different about Michigan playing against Michigan last year compared to any other year you played against them?
They're a good football team, and they've been good in the past. I think, to me, they might have gotten back to a little bit more offensively what they were in the past, they just committed to run the football. Their offensive line, I thought, was better. I thought their defense was really good, and they were playing with a swagger and an edge and a confidence on that side of the ball that you kind of expect, which I thought they had in the past. Maybe lost a little bit there at the end of that system that they were running, but without question, always talented, really good football team. Like quarterback play was better. It makes you better. Talented running backs. I mean, I guess they've always had the talented, skill guys, and I think O-line's always been there. But they just played better. They had more. It just seemed like of a system that they were hanging their hat on, and just as a opponent, getting ready to watch them and play them, and then playing against them, and they're just talented team for sure, and just to me, you just expect a certain type of team from Michigan, and that's what they were, and so I think that'll just continue to grow.
Connor Bazelak?
How important was that PowerPoint that Jack Tuttle and Cam Jones, those guys, put together that first meeting to say, here's some things that happened, here's who we're going to be?
Yeah, Cam and Jack came to me, and they put it together, and we adjusted it a little bit, just go through different things, but I thought it was very powerful. So if you ask our team, and we've been focused on this during the spring, that there's 3 qualities I think make a great football team. And the first one is they communicate. All right. Well, the second one is player-led. Okay. And so you can say that, but if it's truly player-led, it has to be generated by things that the players come to you and want to do. Okay. Because that's when it's really powerful. Okay, so I was excited just at the fact that that's what they, even though it's like I said, they had a whole list of things, and sometimes kids don't understand the big picture of certain stuff. So we kind of tweaked some of that a little bit. But man, I was fired up. I knew right then things were going to be different, and it's never big things. I mean, we got a lot of really deep things I believe that we do, and I believe in them, and they believe in them. But I'm telling you, there's just a little subtle stuff that I feel like that they recognized and they saw and noticed and we talked about. So, but to answer your question, I don't think I can put a value on that. It's huge, And once again, I told the guys, I wasn't in there. They ran it, and I trust them, and but that's earned. That trust is earned. Those are 2 older guys that have been around a long time, and they care a whole bunch about this program. And so I was fired up when they wanted to do that.
What was your reaction to Taiwan coming back for another year, and what are your expectations?
I was excited, but he didn't have the kind of season he wanted last year. Injuries was really the main reason for that. But I would say that special person, special player. I think it was a good decision. I think when you just look at his development, what he needs to be able to do, but it was also huge for our team. Just others seeing that and that encourages others to be able to stay and use that extra year to be able to get your degree or just become a better football player if you've already got your degree. So, but he's a special guy, a special player. Just gives us so much, and I expect him to lead. I expect him to make a bunch of plays and help us win a bunch of football games.
Tom.
There's an NCAA rule change this year that allowed conferences to do away with divisions, and obviously the Big Ten is not a school that did that. But given how stacked the East is year after year, is that something that you might like to see the Big Ten explore?
I think I've stated in the past, that our conference is really strong on both sides. There's no doubt the history of our conference is pretty clear, one side versus the other. And I think the 8 years we've had, the two divisions, the East has won it every single time. But I will say as things unfold in the future, you can see that changing without question as you add teams. We've already added 2 for sure. Who knows if we'll add more? I have they don't listen to me in any of that stuff, so I'm not part of that discussion. But I can see that happening as well. So, yeah, it looks like that's probably the direction things are going. I don't know when, I think I said it in the past, I do think it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do think it's going to happen. I think when it does happen, I think it can be very healthy for our whole conference to have an equitable schedule, where everybody plays everybody the same amount of times and in that regard. So we'll see it when it happens, but I think change is coming for sure, and that's probably one part of it.
Tom, Cam said that he felt like you guys lost your edge last year. When you went back through the self-evaluation process, was there a specific point where you could see that was happening?
I think I agree with him. He and I have had a lot of heart-to-hearts about this topic, and we talked about it with our leadership council a couple days ago at the end of our workout, and I value our guy's opinion. That's why I talk to him. But I don't know if you could say there's a point. There's no doubt. Iowa was tough. That was a tough loss. I know it's a tough place to play. I never coached them before, but it's that. The history. They've got a great program, and their defense is really, really talented. But I think more the way it happened. It was deflating in a lot of ways. We didn't handle that very well. And when you talk about your edge, we have three mindset points. And the mindset of our program is edge, hungry, focused. And that's been that way since day one that I got here. And when I talk to him about an edge, what does that mean? That means it's your core confidence, and it was shaken. It was, and then you start losing consecutive games, and then the injuries start mounting, and it's I think that's an unfortunate natural outcome of losing, and you start questioning things that you're doing, and so we gotta get it back. We do, and I'm not bashful to say that. We've talked about it as a team. I mean, I don't have a whole lot to hide, so it's just like we approach it in a way that you want to be great in this life. You want to be a great football player. You want to be a great football team. You got to have an edge. You got to believe in yourself. You got to have a swagger about you. If you don't believe in yourself, why should anybody else? And so to me, that's what we got to get, and that's why the start of the season is critical. It's very, very important. It's even just physically the way we're wired, the way we're made. I mean, there's a natural thing that grows and builds in you when you have a chance to have some success together as a football team. So I just thought that was just kind of definitely. It's almost like we never really recovered from that. We had a pick 6 within the first 2 minutes of the game, a long run, and you're down 14-0, and it's just like wham, 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 and and then the injuries start coming, and so it just was really, really difficult to recover from. But you got to if you want to be able to be, a premier team that goes on the road and plays tough games, and sometimes you win them, sometimes you don't, and it can't be, one game can not allow you to do that and spiral that way. So, but we just have to mature and grow and just keep it better. But that to me would be kind of the way I answer that.
What does Connor Bazelak bring for you?
Connor Bazelak, he's played a lot of football, thrown for a lot of yards, a lot of touchdowns in the SEC. Pretty good league, a lot of good football teams. So I would say experience, just a calmness, a coolness, just kind of just that kind of guy. Doesn't get frazzled, not real emotional, but the thing that jumps out to me is just experience. Been there, been in the big games, played in the big venues, not his, he was the SEC Freshman of the Year. It's 2020, I guess it would be. So that's definitely something that really sticks out to me. And he's played a lot of football and started a lot of football games. So excited to have him as a part of our program.
Are there one or two?
Yeah, Mike's done a great job. It's about he's doing what we're trying to do. Build that belief, build that confidence, and it happens one day at a time, one game at a time, and it's all about recruiting. Obviously, we're a lot better coaches, we got better players, and I think that that's a big part of what he's trying to do there, and he's got a lot of offensive weapons. Their defense is getting better and better all the time. And so, it's about winning football games, and they finished really strong. They won their bowl game, and they obviously got their program going in a great direction. He's a really good quarterback. Obviously played against him twice now. You saw the maturity from the first time we played him to the second time we played him. Just has a quick release process as well. He has the ability to run, which I think is a big deal. He can escape. He can drag plays out and elongate them with his legs, and that's important quality to have. And you can tell he's got that quiet confidence about him. So he's a really good football player.
Are there one or two ways you feel like the offensive line has improved since last season, and what are you still looking for out of that group in fall camp next week?
Well, just consistency. To me, they got to do a great job of setting the tone. To me, we have a phrase, big men lead the way. Well, they better lead the way. That's the key. And to me, it's about toughness. Just continue to develop that with big emphasis all off-season with our guys. It's going to be in fall camp, run the football. And to me, simplifying some things up front. That was a big focus for us this whole offseason, so we can execute at a high level at critical times. To me, that's what this game. We make a lot of it. It can be complicated in some ways, but it's really not. And so making sure it's simple, that our guys are being able to play fast, and you're confident what you're doing, and you're not confusing what you're doing. You play with a stronger edge physically, a better edge mentally. It allows you to play more physically. So to me, we got to be able to run the football, and we got to protect the quarterback. And so to me, that's on those guys, but it's also on the whole system. It's on our offensive coordinator. It's on our whole offensive staff. And so it's not just one group, but it's play of our quarterbacks. I thought that really hurt us last year. We did not have consistent quarterback play, and that's a really negative thing. But buck stops with the guys up front. They're only as good as that group, and so they got to own that. And we're going to be all over them in fall camp, so we've been the whole off season in a good way, because we're not going to let them let up, because they're going to drive us to where we want to be.
Who in that group is popping right now?
I think that we got a lot of guys back, so I like the progress that Michael Koenig made this offseason. I really like, even though Matt Bedford's one of our better players, he needs to improve, and I feel like he's done that in both leadership as well as physically. Luke Haggard, another one, has continued to develop, and he's got to play at a high level for us. I want to see Zach Carpenter really elevate. He's had an excellent offseason. He's got to prove it on the field during the season. I like the addition of Parker Hannum. He's a guy that's played a lot of football. He's big, he's strong, he's athletic. And so to me, that's, you can't have enough tackle body type guys on your team. We got to see Tim Weaver step up. He's got to be able to, I think Khalil Benson's another one that's had a really good offseason, especially this summer. I want to see him take that momentum into fall camp. Carter Smith, young guy, got here in January. We haven't played too many freshmen on the offensive line, but I tell you what, he's very athletic, and I really like what he has to offer. He's going to have to grow up real fast. We got a bunch of other guys as well, but to me, those guys I mentioned, even Randy Holtz is a guy, big old body. To me, it's time to step up. And time for that group of men to lead the way.
There's not so much conversation as there is in college athletics about changing things. How important is it to you to be able to reflect and kind of remember the traditions that is Big Ten and Indiana?
Yeah, I do value that. I'm a little bit of a, old school Big Ten guy, As I've said a couple different times, I've been interviewed, and when I was a kid growing up, I had a poster in my bedroom of the 10 Big Ten schools, and that's what I think of as the Big Ten, to be honest with you. And just the traditions and the histories of all those schools that started this great conference. But then, you got to adapt to change, right? And so now you got, even from then, you got 4 more schools we're at, and now you got 2 more schools. So 6 more from that original group, and which shows growth and progress, right? And I just think even as as you think about the kids we recruit, you know, they're not as regional as even I probably was growing up. Well, they didn't even close to how I was raised growing up in regards to that. I mean, they're traveling all over the country, AAU tournaments for basketball, football, travel baseball, whatever. You know, as coaches, I have to be willing to change. As a conference, we have to change. As a university, we have to be willing to change and accept, hey, NIL is here to stay. Okay, we got to embrace it, all right? And so that to me is part of the blending of, you know, this is who we are, let's make sure we are. So this offseason, when we talk about evaluating things, the book I read was Built to Last, okay? Because our one word is built. And in that book, it talks about, and my biggest takeaway from that book was the organizations that had great success long term, okay? Their common denominator was they never lost sight of who they were. Okay, they had certain core values that those things didn't change. Now they may change the method of what they do. Okay, they may change some day-to-day things with what they do, but the core of who they are, that never changes. And to me, that's our culture: accountability, toughness, and love. As a conference, this is who we are. You hold fast to those things, but then the other that you better be willing to adjust. You're going to get run over, and some companies that they study in that book don't even exist anymore. Okay, because they weren't able to adapt and adjust to the new changes of the common day, whatever it happened to be for that organization. So that's what I wanted to be able to do as a program, as we got to do as a conference.
Go ahead.
I talked to Cam about the PowerPoint that he put together with Jack Tuttle early January. As a coach, what was it like to see those two leaders take action for your team?
Well, I mentioned it earlier, but I tell you what, it's powerful. And I want to be a player-led team. And the best teams I've coached on loved each other, cared about each other, and had vocal leaders that stood up and led the team. And so when a couple guys like that, and there were other guys involved, but they were the two leaders, they came to me and they had taken the time to create this PowerPoint, and I didn't sit in there with them when they presented it because I wanted them to have that time, but I met with them ahead of time and we told them, hey, take this out, add this, modify this, whatever, and they did it. And so, but great teams they communicate, they're player-led, and they're connected. And so having that happen helps show their leadership, which makes it the player-led piece, and then it also connected our guys at a higher level because they understand these guys are bought in.
Tom, talked a lot about the meeting you had the morning after.
Yeah.
Just to get a couple details on it. First off, did they text you the night before, tell you they were coming the night before, or did they just knock on the door?
No, they text me, you know, whenever the game was over.
Remember which one?
What's that?
Do you remember which player?
Well, it was several, but Jalen Williams was one of them as well. You know, Jack Tuttle, Cam was involved in that. Micah McFadden was involved in that, to be honest with you. You know, because Micah loves Indiana. You know, Cam Jones. You know, to me, Taiwan Mullen. I would say probably the leader texted me was Cam. You know, and it was multiple guys. You know, and
So it wasn't just one guy saying?
No. Now more showed up than that text me, but which I'm fine with. And see, and how it's interesting how things have changed. So, you know, because of the world we live in now with the transfer portal, okay, and then you got the guys that want to decide about do I go to the NFL or not. We've used that the day after that game now to try and balance between meeting with those guys, going out to recruit, and then being able to help those parents. We actually had a morning where we had NFL scouts there, okay, meeting with families, talking about the draft process, okay? So that was all going on at that same time, and then these guys wanted to come meet with me. And so I was fired up, you know, because to me, it's the whole player led. It's everything that we've been talking about. It's like, that's a powerful thing when guys say, Coach, you know, we need to meet, and we want to talk about next season. You know, the day after you finish a really, really tough stretch, you know. And so, honestly, it's easy just to be like, you know, hey, I just need to sleep in, and then we'll talk about it on Monday. Nah, it was bright and early Sunday morning, and I was fired up to be there with them. And I think it was the beginning of what I believe was a real turning point for what's going to happen in 2022.
When did the first person walk in the door? How long was the meeting? And did you hear anything that you did not expect? Like, was it a lot of stuff that you were like, okay, I kind of saw this, I kind of saw that?
I kind of saw some. Yeah, I would say the majority I wasn't surprised with. I mean, I asked for it was an hour meeting without question, and I wanted names. I wanted to know who they thought wasn't all in, and I wanted the honest truth about everything, you know. So it was a closed door, we're not going to disclose all that, but I will say, because to me, you don't get change if you don't have honest discussions about things. If you don't tell people the truth, you don't get to the core of what you want done. And so, like I said, and it's always the little stuff. It's always the little subtle things that can kind of. Something happened. I won't even share what it is. The summer before, it was just a little thing, but it was just like it kind of caused me to have a little bit of a pause then, and then I think it kind of showed a little bit of something wasn't what it needed to be. And like I said, we're talking some minor stuff, but minor things that when things start going wrong, they can start getting a little bigger. That little crack in the foundation, over time can get a little bit bigger and become a bigger issue. And so I would just say it would be, from a leadership perspective, what you're seeing from the guys, the things we talked about from that meeting to the PowerPoint to it would have been the opposite of that. Just some subtle little things that were like, so, and it's hard to have, as a coach, to kind of like, mandate certain things sometimes, because it's mandated things are necessary at times, but sometimes they're counterproductive, so it almost just was more probably revealing than it was, and you try and we try to address certain things. There's no doubt. I mean, good grief. I mean, it was a constant to try to this or that throughout the whole process. But like I said, I'm not putting this on any one person or any one situation. It's just a lot of little things that kind of built up, and I'm excited to see these guys recognize some of those things. We're willing to address them, talk about them man to man, and create change.
On high school prospects I talk to like the idea of UCLA and USC coming to the Big Ten. They're like, hey man, go to the Big Ten, get trips to LA. I'm curious, do you think it has any impact? And two, what do your players think of it?
Well, they were very excited. Recruits I've talked to were excited. We started talking to kids from California that we weren't talking to before the announcement. I didn't know the announcement was coming, so I was really caught off guard, And so, I think it's going to help. I really do, and I think our kids are excited. I think the idea of going and playing out to a place, and it's those are two pretty big iconic names in college sports, and I don't care what their recent history, that has nothing to do with it. But as far as just as a school and university, it's without question, a big deal, I think, and I think it's a positive thing for sure. So, but who knows what's next?
Tom, A.J. Barner's only had a couple years of tight end experience, but he's already a really good route runner, has really good hands. How much do you credit his rapid growth to like Peyton and to Kevin Wright?
Yeah, I have to give Kevin Wright a lot of credit. He's his position coach, and that's his responsibility, is to help his players develop and to improve their technique and their outrunning, especially a guy like that did not have, a lot of history with it. And I think Peyton Hendershot definitely took him under his wing. And I think in Peyton's, just complete, redirect in his life, the way that he responded to his adversity, I think was awesome for AJ to see. And I will say this, Peyton Hendershot was a strong leader, especially in that room. He infected that room in a very, very positive way with his toughness, with his work ethic, and with his passion to get better. And I think that AJ is a direct result of that. So I have to give both of them credit, and I feel like that, there's without question, AJ's best football is ahead of me.
Tom, you talked about opening against a lot of Big Ten opponents this week, doing against a traditional rival in Illinois. Is it exciting to maybe open against a rival you haven't played in a while?
Yeah, it is. We haven't played him since, the 17th season, I believe. And not a team that, because of the current structure, we play very often. And so not very far away, from us to be able to play them. So we expect a big crowd from them as well to come, which is awesome. Great atmosphere for game day, and expect our crowd to be huge. And so, I've really grown to enjoy these, because I feel like that they have a chance to really set the tone for your season. And so it adds to the intensity and excitement of fall camp and everything we do in June and July. And so, I'm a fan of them. I know they're not easy. I know they have ramifications either direction, but I think that, it's not anything I picked, but it's not like I had a choice. But at the same time, I'm choosing to recognize the benefits of this, because I see it for sure. And I think it's good for our conference.
Is it difficult for you to comprehend not playing in Illinois, a rival that Indiana's had traditionally on a consistent basis?
You mean like in the current scheduling?
Yeah.
I think it's, obviously our biggest rival is Purdue. There's no question about that. But you want to play, that's why I do think having a systematic way of playing a more equitable amount of teams in our conference makes a lot of sense. So I mean, everybody's got opinions about that and why they haven't done it in the past, but to me, I think that's what's coming eventually, and I think you'll see that hopefully, but not going to happen this year for sure. So we'll just attack them one at a time. And right now, the focus is Illinois.
What's your opening up with a conference opponent? Obviously, very difficult. I mean, you mentioned doing it 4 out of 5 years, which is extremely unusual. Last year when you played Iowa, they're only second time since 1979 that they opened up a conference. Have you talked to the conference to see maybe why this is happening to Indiana as frequently as it is? I know there was a COVID year that added into that.
Yeah, but we were supposed to play Wisconsin. So in the COVID year, we were already supposed to play a conference opponent, and then they changed it to Penn State after the new scheduling happened with COVID. So we would have regardless. So I don't know if I've had a direct conversation with them. I do know that it's happened 4 out of 6 times. So I'm not sure it's necessarily just a random draw, right? So yeah, I kind of maybe know like the logic potentially, but we gotta make the most of it, right? So, but I think yeah, maybe we need to talk about it.
What's your approach when you go into an opener against a team with the new coordinator? And have you dug in at all to what you did at UTSA? And
oh yeah.
What's that shown you?
Well, you got to go based on what he's done, and it doesn't mean he's going to do it there either. So that's the challenging part. That's where there is some benefit. Obviously not going to show everything. There'll be stuff we have to be able to adapt to after the opening couple series. But I think it's always challenging going against a new coordinator, because what you do is you watch all his film to try and figure out the scheme, and then you watch all their film to figure out the personnel, okay? And then you got to try and piece the two together and try and figure out what you think he might be doing, right? So it's challenging, right? So, and you don't even know. So the bottom line is you better be really good at, mid-series adjustments and halftime adjustments, and so we're going to be really, really structured for that and have our eyes set for that, to be able to really be looking for certain things with our staff, and to be able to make those adjustments in an efficient way on the sideline or in the first quarter. So, but yeah, we'll see. That's one thing. There is a positive of them playing. You got to run your offense. I'm assuming they're going to run a completely different system in week 1 than week 2. But and obviously you had a chance to see them in their spring game, so that's going to be a very vanilla version of that. I get that, but you just go through and you do your preparation, and then once the game starts, you got coach.
Coach, how is Thomas doing in his new role, and how's your relationship with him?
I tell you what, it's pretty cool. I'm glad you asked that, because it was fun coaching him. But there's stress to that.
Yeah.
There's a natural tension. If you've never done it, you wouldn't know what I'm saying. But there's a natural tension there. Then obviously has such a devastating injury that was so hard. But I tell you what, it's like that tension is gone, and we can actually enjoy each other more. I'm just being real. It's more enjoyable than it was as a player. And I will say this: he's really good. He's so much further along than it ain't even close. When I think about when I graduated, okay, and I was my first coaching was at Temple Heights High School in Tampa, Florida, 1992. I didn't have a clue, and this guy, I'm telling you, we're talking scheme together, and watching film together, and obviously he's played in our defense, so he knows it inside and out, and but he's just got a really, really good football mind. And so it's fun. I'm telling you, every time I'm gonna rip his tail, and as a head coach would, and he'll have to take that. But no, seriously, I just think it's man, what a special time, And who knows? It could be 1 year, and obviously all 4 of our GAs all got full-time jobs, which is what you want. That's the goal. Those guys, they can only be GAs for 3 years at a time, but so I want him to get a full-time job, once he becomes a GA. So it may last. I may have him for a year, 2 years. Can't have more than 3 years in that role. But man, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. He's a hard worker, man. He works he understands it. And he puts the time in, and obviously the care factor is off the charts, and he wants to see us be great, and he has a vested interest for sure. But I covet this time. It's just a valuable. You just don't get those years back, so I feel really blessed.
Does he want to be a head coach? Is that what?
What? I think he will be one day.
Yeah,
I do. So, but he's got a lot of teeth to cut first.
talked about you expanded leadership.
Yeah.
How much bigger is it than it was last year? And also talking to you guys have true freshmen.
Yeah.
What went into that decision? What's the value?
So, yeah, great question. So we expanded up to 30. So we had it was 24. So we had 6 more guys. And I had a true freshman that I wanted. And here's why. Because I wanted to be able to make sure that we got a jump start on the guys that I believe are going to impact our program. And have every opportunity we possibly can to develop them. I just think that leadership, I think there's a void in that. A lot of kids don't understand. And I'm not blaming this or that. I do think there's reasons for it. I do think the communication piece is harder, face to face. To talk to guys. Texting is easier. Phone. I just think face to face, learn how to confront, learn how to lead. What does that mean? So the earlier the better. So that's why we've added those guys. And also, to me, I just want to make sure I just had more people in that room that I'm impacting. Okay, because I run these meetings, and I want them to be able to take that leadership to the locker room. So to me, I just felt like that everything rises and falls on leadership. So I'm what, we can't. What's wrong with adding 6 more guys? Even though you don't want to get too big, because then you kind of lose a little bit of that personal effect that you have with those guys. But we're still able to get it. We just make a big U-shaped table. We have dinner together, and then we have the lesson. And I sit in front, and we sit and we just talk. And they take notes, and we go over it, and then I send them. I text them my little highlights of the notes afterwards in the next couple of days, just to continue to get that, and make sure that they understand the key points we're trying to make. So that to me was big, and I feel like that I've just taken the aggressive approach with leadership. That we're not going to just assume that we get these natural-born leaders and they're going to take the team over. I just think those are hard to come by. And even a guy like Mike McFadden, he was actually very quiet. He's not a real talkative guy. So I think those really helped him. And I knew Cam needed to step up. Even though he's an awesome leader, with Mike being gone now, he needs to fill that void. And so I just wanted to make sure we get as many guys around him, get some younger guys involved, and just keep building this football team.
I wanted to follow up earlier with your division when I asked you about Ohio State. It's the 100-year anniversary of Ohio Stadium and whatnot, and with your coaching background, having coached here before, I was curious if you had any particular memories or moments or features about the stadium that you could point out or describe about Ohio State's exhibits.
Well, my memories haven't been real positive there. We've never beaten them since I've been here, so that memory is one for the future that we're trying to create. So, but I just think of that play. It was just loud. Tough place to play. Obviously, the year we played them in 20, there were no fans there, and so that was different. So it's probably not a fair assessment of it in regards to that piece. But obviously, we had a chance at the end to try to win that game and did not. But you just think tradition. You walk in there and all the greats that have played there. And so like I said, just being raised in this part of the country and Woody Hayes and all that's been built there, all the great players that played there. It's one of the great stadiums in the whole country, so it's pretty cool, and just got to find a way to beat them there.
You mentioned Woody Hayes and, of course, all the tradition with their coaches. Do you have things from their books and things to your own? Anything from Ohio State?
Well, I've actually, there's coaches there that I use, and Coach Tressel used principles from his leadership, and Urban Meyer used some of his principles and things that obviously allowed him to have success. And my dad's a Woody Hayes guy, so that's his era. I was really little, obviously, at that point, and don't remember much of it as a coach, but that's who my dad studied. That's who my dad, between Coach, Michigan, that was Coach Schembechler and Coach Hayes. Those were his kind of guys in that time period. And so, but there's there's so many great ones there that you respect it. It's part of our whole profession that we're part of is learning from everybody else. We all have clinics for that reason, and we go around and we share ideas and we try to learn from the great ones. And there's a reason why people have success. And so you want to find out, can I benefit from those reasons why this person had success? And so to me, there's benefit in that. So that's always going to be something I'm going to study.
Something I wanted to touch on. You mentioned how playing Illinois for the first time since 2017, your own career here at Indiana. Last year was the first time you had coached on the road game at Iowa. With this conference seeing so much change, is this something that you think is important for league members to start seeing more of each other on the league?
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've talked about. Something I think that if I had to predict, in terms of just based on conversations, I think that's something that seems to be positive. People seem to agree that would be a good thing. And there's good reasons for that. And so, it's like anything else. I mean, at the end of the day, when you look at your schedule, you try to, you try to be able to find the best way to build your best team and win as many games as you can. So I think that's created different people's opinions about, the schedules and who wants to play who and how much you play who and all that stuff. But to me, if you just want to say what's equitable, you play everybody the same amount of times. So I just think that to me makes a lot of sense. We'll see if that happens or not. I do think there's benefit in that. You're right, you're saying. And I haven't always felt that way. I say you kind of change over time when you see things. But I do think it does make sense. And right now we've been playing some of the best teams in the history of college football every single year, in our division. That makes it harder than ever, but that's part of it, And so you don't back down from that, and you embrace those things for sure. But yeah, I just think as everything else has changed, there's no doubt that that's going to be part of the conversation for sure.
What's the impression individually about so far about Walt Bell and about Chad? Both his coaches.
Yeah, I would say let's start with Chad. I mean, I think just because I'm with Chad every day in that defensive room, and he's just a solid-earth person, loves his players, cares about them, great knowledge of football, sponge. Learned a lot. He's coming in and learning everything we're doing, our system, we're doing, coaching linebackers, and we spend a lot of time together with all that. And I'm in every single one of his meetings, and he's a good communicator. He's passionate. He's fiery. He's tough. He's just he's got a lot of things I value. And then for me, Walt is he's extremely bright. He's really sharp. And I think even you talk to our players, they're just like, man, coach, he's a really sharp guy, and he's just, his brain is just really, he can see things, visualize things, and you have to have that, I think. So just organizationally, Walt is extremely talented in that area. I just think he has a system that he believes in and he can articulate, whether he has all his notes in front of you or not. And I think that's huge. But as I always will say, play calling, it's an art, okay? And it's the ability to know when to do certain things at the right time. And so that to me is going to be key, and that's where, he knows the charge is to, we got to score a lot of points, and in today's game, that's what you got to do. And so that's, we made changes, and he's now in charge of our offense, and I'm excited that he is, and I'm anxious to get into fall camp and see that continue to develop and grow. Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome day. Elio.
Thanks, Tom.